I want a leader who talks exactly like that. That's exactly what I want to hear. I want to hear that here's where we want to get to, here's where we are, and we have no idea how to get there, but damn it, we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. And if we can't figure it out, well, at least we tried. I want somebody who challenges us. AOC challenged the country to figure out how to do this without being cruel to people coming across. Is it impossible? If you say it's impossible, check your thinking. It might be impossible. I can't see a way to do it. I don't think you can see a way to do it. But I don't want to live in a country where my leader agrees with me, right? I don't want my leader to say, oh, you can't see how to do it? I guess we can't do it. Guess we can't go to the moon. Anybody? Anybody? Can somebody build a rocket? Anybody in the audience? None of you? Nobody knows how to build a rocket to the moon? Guess we can't go. Romney is saying that if Trump ran in 2024, he would easily win the nomination. What do you think about that? Do you think Trump would easily win the nomination? I feel like he would, right? Because you'd have a number of people running, and he would certainly get at least 25% of the vote, just like the last time, and that would be more than any of the others individually got. So just the fact that he's the biggest fish who would be in that lake, the biggest one gets nominated. So it does look like Trump. I would agree with Romney that if he ran again, he'd at least get the nomination. I would be very skeptical that he could win the election. He may be too crippled by the assault on the Capitol, but he could win the nomination. Now that brings up the second question of who are the leaders in this country anymore? I feel like we have this gigantic vacuum of leadership, both on the left and the right. Now, there are certainly people that are being talked about for running for president, but none of them have really the kind of star power that we're used to. And maybe it's just the Trump effect. We have an expectation of a certain amount of star power, but maybe that's unrealistic. So here's my take. And I want to tell you that if you will be bothered in the future about me saying that AOC, like Trump, has real skill, even if you don't like her policies, you probably don't want to follow me because I'm going to be talking about it a lot. And the reason I'm going to be talking about it a lot is that AOC is the only leader in the country right now. Now, I don't like the things she's talking about in every case. Some of it I do like, actually. So I'm not agreeing with her policies. But I would say she's the only national leader we have at the moment. I know that's a big statement, but I think it is. And she is very wisely, which, I think she's guaranteed to be president eventually. I just don't know when. Here's my prediction. AOC is guaranteed to be president eventually. Guaranteed. Unless there's some new scandal that we don't know about. But if she just keeps doing what she's doing, she will be president. And here's the thing. You can back a leader that you don't agree with if they're leading. At least they're leading, right? I backed Trump, as you know, even though there were a number of things that he wanted to do that I would not agree with, such as deporting 11 million people when he took office, right? Now, I knew that he wouldn't do that, and he didn't. But I can back a leader who has things in their policies I don't like, as long as they're a leader. Because you need the leadership, right? You can't do without it. And I would say AOC is now the only national leader, if you don't count Trump, who's sort of on hiatus at the moment. I'm watching the comments and watching people throwing up. People are going into spasms. No, she's not a leader. She's a fake. Calling her a fake isn't saying anything, because all leaders are putting on a show. So she's putting on a show, and if you say to me, but wait, she's fake because she's just putting on a show, I say, what did you think Trump was? He was a guy who was smart enough to know how to put on a show, and it worked. Same skills. All right, so AOC is in the news again because she took on the Biden administration for reopening the Texas migrant facilities, which in the past have been called kids in cages, although the actual cage may be down the road if the numbers keep coming in the way they are. But still, it's a facility where you're locking up kids, and AOC came out publicly, and even though it's her own party, she said, this is not okay. And she said, never has been okay, never will be okay, no matter the administration or party, she tweeted. That's leadership. Who else would you say? I'd like to see in your comments. I've made a claim that some of you don't like, that she's the only national leader at the moment, because she's going against her own party. You're not a leader if all you're doing is agreeing with your side. Did Trump always just agree with his side? He didn't. That's partly why there's so much trouble, right? He was always fighting with his own side. If you're not fighting with your own side, in addition to the other side, you're not a leader, you're just a team player, all right? So until you see somebody cross their own party line, you're not talking about a leader. You're just talking about a political hack, basically. So AOC has done it twice in the past week. I forget what the other one was, but we have one leader in the country, like it or not. Give me another name of somebody who would fall into that camp. I'm seeing Rand Paul, Tulsi. Tulsi is a good name, and that I would say Tulsi compared to AOC would be. I hate to say this because I really like Tulsi Gabbard as a political voice, but I feel like she's the Mike Pence to AOC being Trump. I hate to say that. That's really not a fair thing to say. But Tulsi doesn't bring the heat, the energy. And partly because her personality is sort of low-key. So she brings capability and good things that you like and would be a very capable president, in my opinion. I could get behind that. But I don't know she has the star power, quite. It would be an interesting contest. Well, how would you like to see a presidential contest someday between Tulsi Gabbard and AOC? Just woman versus woman. That'd be pretty interesting. I could get into that. That would be fun. And maybe time. Maybe it's time for two women to be running for president. That would be the real shake-up, wouldn't it? Somebody says she's charismatic and dangerous, like many evil leaders of the past. So she's added some nuance to what AOC has, to what she's saying about border and getting rid of ICE and opening the borders and stuff, and all of it sounds crazy, right? When you first hear it, you're like, what are you talking about, opening the borders? That's the worst idea I've ever heard in the entire world. But if you actually hear her talk about it in more depth, what she's talking about is figuring out how to do it. And the idea is that there might be a big idea of just rethinking everything that would make aggressive border control not necessary. That it doesn't mean it would be bad for the United States, but there's, the feeling that you could get from where we are to some better place, and we don't know what the path is. Now, what do you think of that? What do you think of the fact that AOC's plan for immigration is, we'll do something that nobody's thought of yet, and I haven't thought of it either, but it'll be really good and it'll fix things? What do you think of a plan like that? Is your first thought, oh my God, she doesn't have a plan? There's no plan. Right? That's your first thought. Here's my first thought. That's the leader I want. Now, I'm not saying AOC. I'm saying I want a leader who talks exactly like that. That's exactly what I want to hear. I want to hear that here's where we want to get to, here's where we are, and we have no idea how to get there, but damn it, we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. And if we can't figure it out, well, at least we tried. That's the leader I want. I don't want somebody who says, I'm not even going to try to get there unless I know all the steps. When Kennedy said we're going to the moon, did he say we already know how to get to the moon? No. The reason Kennedy is called such a great leader for saying we're going to the moon is specifically because, wait for it, we didn't know how to do it. I mean, we figured we could figure it out, but we didn't know how when he talked about it. We don't know how to fix immigration such that strong enforcement would not even be necessary. We don't know how to do that. AOC says, let's figure it out. I like that. I don't know if we can figure it out, but I also would not have known if we could figure out landing on the moon. I wouldn't have known. I was somebody who challenges us. AOC challenged the country to figure out how to do this without being cruel to people coming across. Is it impossible? If you say it's impossible, check your thinking. It might be impossible. I can't see a way to do it. I don't think you can see a way to do it. But I don't want to live in a country where my leader agrees with me, right? I don't want my leader to say, oh, you can't see how to do it? I guess we can't do it. Guess we can't go to the moon. Anybody? Anybody? Can somebody build a rocket? Anybody in the audience? None of you? Nobody knows how to build a rocket to the moon? Guess we can't go. You don't need that kind of leadership. You need the people who say, we're going to make this work. We don't know how yet, but we're going to make it work. We don't know how. Now, or she's crazy. In the comments, somebody says, or she's crazy. Well, let me put it to you this way. If she were crazy, you'd see it in lots of different ways, I think. It would be sort of obvious. But if she is smarter than you think she is, she would talk like this. She says directly, I don't know how to do it. If she said, I do know how to do it, but I'm not telling you, well, then she's crazy. Or if she said, I do know how to do it, and what she described clearly wouldn't work, such as just throwing the gates open and opening the border, but she's not saying that. She is smart enough to know that that wouldn't work. And she doesn't know what would work. But she has, a moonshot idea about how to get there.